What's up, everybody? Welcome back to StreamLive. I'm your host, Rizal Ron, and we are here today with the one and only Mandi Macias, here to talk about her new EP, Teenage Eulogy, and upcoming projects for 2023. Mandi, nice to be with you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks StreamLive. I'm super excited.
Yes, of course. And this is not, your first time here.
Yeah, I've been with StreamLive for a minute now. I think they were the first place I performed since like 2020 COVID, when like everything was shut down.
Really?
They were like a place that I could perform during COVID and stream to my fans, and that was really amazing. So I love StreamLive. You're the real one.
Yeah, shout out to StreamLive. Okay. Well, Mandi, I always like to start from the beginning. And so I know that you're 20 years old now, and you've been doing music for a while. I mean, you're talking about through all of your teenage years. And this is why your new EP is called Teenage Eulogy. Yeah. But tell me, take me back to the time where you started to take music seriously as a career.
Yeah, I feel like I've been doing music like absolutely forever. It's always been the way that I've expressed myself. I started playing piano around like 2.5 years old. So music's always just kind of like been in my blood. I started songwriting at age 8 when my Nana passed away, and that was like, I didn't know how to cope with things yet, because you're 8 years old, you lose someone that's like super important in your life, and you're like overwhelmed by emotion and like grief at such a young age. I was like, I didn't know how to do anything except put it into music. And I think that was like such a powerful tool for me, and I didn't understand yet at that age that that could be something that could be like a sustainable career for me. So it still didn't hit, but it was always like something that was important to me. Yeah. And I don't think it was really until my 16th birthday party when I had that EP released, and when I like was on stage and it was all like happening so fast, but like every second of it I was like, I want to savor this because I didn't want it to end. And at the end of the night, I remember being just so sad, not that anything like I did was like, like I wasn't sad about the performance, I was sad that it was over, and I was like, that was the moment when I was like, I could do this forever, and this is all I wanted to do.
You still wanted to be on stage.
Yeah, I still wanted to be on stage, I still wanted to be singing, and I was just so sad. I was like, dang, like those past 6 months I've been like preparing for this day, and like 30 minutes later it's over, and I was like so depressed. I was like, I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh, take me back. And that was the moment I knew like this is what I want to do professionally for the rest of my life, and I don't think I could ever get tired of it.
So you mentioned in there that you wrote your first song when you were 8, and that was a coping mechanism for you.
Yeah.
What made you want to continue to write songs? Was it, because that could have just been a one and done moment, it was a very sad moment, where you had to overcome, but you stuck with it, and you kept writing songs and making songs.
I also think something that like triggered something where I was like, I want to continue doing this was I ended up recording that song. It was called Old Pal, and it was about my Nana. And it was back CD days. I burned it onto a CD, and I gave it as a gift to my grandpa, and I gave it to him, and I just saw like he cried, and he was like, you brought her to life. And he was just, his like joy from hearing that song was like, I can bring something to people's lives with something that matters to me. Like, so it was like a win-win situation where I was like, whoa, I can bring value to someone else's life that brings value to my own life. And I think it's kind of like a little addiction, that little adrenaline rush where you're like, I made something and I want people to hear it. So it kind of just was like a snowball effect where it just kept going and going. And then, when you're a teenager, your emotions are just like everywhere.
Of course.
So I was like, songwriting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fuel for that.
And you just put it all into the music.
Yeah.
So when you were, 13, 14, you started to really double down on music and really take it seriously, to the point where you chose to be homeschooled, is that correct?
Yes, I was a homeschooled freak. I'm not gonna say that. I loved homeschooling. I think it's a really great alternative, especially when you like have tunnel vision and you know what you want. I mean, it's definitely not for everyone, but I always used to think, am I missing out on this like traditional high school, football games and school dances?
Oh yeah, that's the Disney Channel.
Yeah, I was like, am I missing out on that? And like, if I wasn't homeschooled, I would miss out on everything that I'm doing now. And this brings like, for me, and like this beats any football game that I could have gone to in high school. And like I talked to a lot of my friends who did end up going to high school. We always stayed in connect, and they were like, really, you didn't miss out on much. Like everyone hated their life in high school. Everyone was miserable.
I mean, come on.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess like But there was always that like, you know, small part of my head where I was like, oh, I'm missing out on life. But I really don't feel that way anymore because I feel like I've added so much value to life just being independent from that and being able to pursue my passions, you know?
Yeah, I don't think you miss out on much. I mean, high school is a period where most people hate themselves anyway. You know, you're going through a weird transitional period, you're trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just a weird, if you describe it in one word, it's just weird.
Yeah.
But you decided to continue to pursue music to the point where you took vocal lessons, dance lessons. You started to learn how to really become a real performer.
Yeah.
And take your stage presence to the next level.
Yeah, there was a point where I had a mentor who would make me run like miles while singing the ABCs, so that like when I was ready to like perform and like get on stage, I would have the endurance and the stamina to like sing and dance, or to like, you know, be able to like jump and sing, you know, because it's hard. And like when I first had my like first lesson with him, I was out of breath, like not even really singing, like literally just like kind of like baby singing where you're like this, and he's like, how are you gonna hit those big notes when you're full on dancing? And I was like, you're right. And so he used to make me like do hardcore conditioning while singing the ABCs. It was pretty crazy.
Wow, that sounds insane, but when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? Yeah, because when you're performing, you're jumping up and down and you're doing that whole thing, you know, you have to be able to still keep the notes going, but I respect you, I don't think I would be able to do that. Yeah, I would probably just run home. But oh yeah, I'm running home. AB, see you later. I'm going home. You started to perform on bigger and bigger stages to the point where you were performing with the Plain White Tees at one point.
Yeah, that was definitely like mind-blowing experience because they were one of my favorite bands when I was growing up. I used to like listen to them and.
Everybody's favorite band.
Yeah, you know, Hey There Delilah, it's on everyone's playlist.
Yeah.
Of course, they were like a lot older when I got to tour with them, but it was really cool because, you know, like not everyone gets to say they like their first time like touring is with like their like childhood idols, you know?
Yeah.
And they're just brilliant songwriters, and it was really cool. I got to sit on a panel with them, and just hearing them like speak and talk about their art was so like inspiring. So that whole tour was just like really inspiring for myself as an artist. Like, this is happening, I need to like appreciate what's going on and keep working harder so that this can continue for me.
How did that opportunity come about in the first place?
So it was with a tour company called High School Nation Tour, and I had just released my EP, and the whole tour was about inspiring other high school students to pursue their passions, whatever it may be. If it's in the art world, if it's not, it was really a beautiful tour. And they were looking for submissions, and I had just released my EP, and I was like, you know what? I'm homeschooled. It's not like I'm gonna be missing school. So I submitted, and I like sent them my songs. I sent them some performance videos, and they chose me out of a bunch of different artists, and I got to tour with them and a few other kids my age. And it was really scary too, because, you know, like being homeschooled, here I am like performing amongst my peers, and I'm like, I don't know any of like the cool hip like lingo anymore because I hadn't been in school for so long. But it was a really beautiful experience. I met a lot of amazing people, and just people like students saying like, you inspire me to like pursue my passions.
Wow.
I was like that's crazy, because I hadn't seen it that way before, that like I was doing what they wanted to do, and I was inspiring them to actually take action and make it happen, which was really cool.
See, that's the cool thing about being an artist, is that you can inspire millions of people that you don't even know. People in another country, people in another city, and you don't know that you're touching them, but you are through your music, through your interviews, and you know, what have you. So I think that that's a very cool part of being an artist. Just from a small observer watching your career blossom into what it is now. I think that when you mentioned that you are, you know, really taking your performances to the next level, I think it's emblematic and shown in your music, because when you dropped your first EP, it was on your 16th birthday.
It was.
And it was called 16.
Yes.
And here we are now, you're 20.
4 years
and
ago.
that was 4 years ago. So what has the growth in music been since then?
It's really, really crazy, because I like look back at old interviews and just like a lot of different things that I like old journal entries, and I'm like, who is that person? Like, it's kind of funny because I'm like, would I be friends with her? Like, I don't think I would be. Like, she'd probably annoy me. But there's like such a soft spot for like my younger self too, because I was just so like ambitious and so like
of course.
full, like I was such, you know, a dreamer, and I feel like something that's changed a lot within me. It's like I still dream, but I make plans of action to go with it a little bit more, and I'm a little bit more strategic. I also kind of learned to find my voice these past 4 years, and I know that's like a weird thing to say because you're like, well, you were singing, but like I felt like when I was younger, I let a lot of people control what my image would be, what my songs would sound like. Even though I wrote those songs, I let them control it because I thought that's how I was young, I didn't know anything. And I realized like, no, these are my songs, these are my thoughts. I'm gonna control and make it sound like something I would want to listen to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why the EP is called Teenage Eulogy, because I'm like killing that part of myself that like kind of just like laid down and took it, you know, from people that really didn't have my best interest at heart. And I'm just really proud of my growth.
I think 16 to 20 is a transformative period for anybody. But, you know, if you're an artist, you're doubling down on that because you're trying to find a sound that resonates with you at that point in your life.
Yeah.
And then translate that to the audience that you're trying to reach. And so it's really tough work. But your music style has changed as well. You know, you mentioned that people were trying to control your sound. Your sound was more on the pop side. It was more bubblegum pop. And now there's so many more layers to it. So what's your favorite part about making music today?
I think my favorite part is just like collaborating, especially with like the producers. I felt like before I would just kind of be like, here's my song, do what you want with it. And I would just kind of let them do what they wanted with it. And they would do what, oh, she's a young girl, so they would make it like very like bubblegum pop, like you said. But I feel like if you know my personality, at first I come off very like bubbly, like you said, like, oh, Disney, you know? But like I feel like people that really know me know like I have dark humor, I'm like very like sarcastic, very sassy. So some of my biggest inspirations, like my biggest inspiration ever is Debbie Harry from Blondie. I love rock and roll, love classic rock. Gwen Stefani, no doubt, that was like the first album I bought. So I love like kind of like grungy, like rock pop. So getting to work with producers and collaborating with them, being like, no, this is what I want. This is what I want to be. And they're like, okay, like show me. And just being able to like release that inner grr, I guess, in like the studio has just been so fun because I feel like it's the most me. And I'm just genuinely really excited to share that with my audience because I feel like with my last single that I did, When You Were a Virgin, which I performed for StreamLive, was the first time that they kind of got to hear that like sassy, like
New side of you.
angsty side of myself. And this
You're like,
whole
who's this?
Yeah, this whole, and honestly, the reaction, I was really nervous because, you know, when you're kind of changing up like that, you're like, are they gonna hate it? Are they gonna hate it? And just the amount of love that I've received, they're like, oh, we totally, it makes sense. Like, I see this, you know? So I'm like, yay, they like it. So I'm super excited to release this EP for them.
Yeah, and I'm excited to let people hear it, but you know, aside from the EP, you do have other creative endeavors in the works. You're an actress.
I am.
You have movies.
I do.
Tell me about making your first movie and getting that role for the first time.
Yeah, honestly, I was just so excited to be a part of the film. It's called Young G. Can't say too much yet because it is not out, but we started recording it in like 2020. So it was a very different procedure. It was my first time being on set for a film, and it was like a whole different world because everyone had to wear masks. There were so many COVID procedures.
Yeah.
But
weird first movie, like, you know, trying to film it for the first time and everybody's wearing a mask.
Everyone's wearing a mask.
Is that what you envisioned?
No, but it was honestly such a magical experience because despite it all, like, I feel like when you film something, you just become like a family unit, and you're with those people all the time, spending like 8 to 12-hour days and like intimate moments where you have to be extremely vulnerable. And I just felt so much love and like compassion on set. And the director, Mikkel Shannon Jenkins, is one of my like biggest mentors in my life now, and like he's just amazing. He's also an actor himself, so he's just really took me under his wing after that. And I'm just so excited. I felt like it helped me get an agent. I didn't have an agent at the time. And so I was like, look, I can book a movie without an agent. Guess what we could do together?
Wow.
And it's definitely opened a lot of doors, and I'm very excited for what that has, like, what more acting things could be
are in store. And it's not just being in the movie. You also have songs in the movie.
Yes.
You have 4 songs in this movie.
Like I said, when I was on set with him, it was just such a, like, he really just kind of like embraced me. And it was like, I'm a singer, and he's like, well, let me hear your songs. And he really just kind of like rewrote my character a little bit to incorporate like my music with my character, and that's why I feel extremely bonded. Her name is Danny, and I just felt like she was me, and yeah, I can't wait to see her on the big screen, you know?
Wow, that is so awesome. So, you know, in terms of acting, are there any sort of dream role that you would say that you would want to land?
Yes. I know you're gonna look at me sideways, but I guess this goes with like the what? I really want to play a psychopath, like for real, like some you stuff, like some stalker, ex-girlfriend type vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be so fun. I did a music video for Ghost, and it was like supposed to be like a Halloween spooky like music video, and I played like a psycho killer ex-girlfriend. But like to really like deep dive into that, I feel like that would be such an interesting role. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's like, I really want to play like a stalker.
Yeah.
Like some, like, what is that movie? The Roommate, where she like becomes infatuated with her like roommate and becomes her, and then ends up like killing her. Yeah, that's something like that is like a dream role of mine.
So you like, you know, this sort of horror, kind of scary kind of vibe.
Definitely.
Right.
Or honestly, I just like really dramatic roles too. So give me the drama, I'm here for it, you know?
What's your favorite thing between music and acting? Well, if you can pursue one, what would you choose?
Stick a knife in my chest, why don't you? I feel like they go hand in hand, like so much. Like the reason I even started acting was because when I was doing that training process before I released my EP, one of the producers that was like training me on how to record, he was like, you sound great, but I don't believe you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you wrote these songs, like obviously you felt this way, you feel this way about something. He's like, but I'm not hearing it. You just sound pretty, and I'm bored. And that really kind of upset me at first. You know, I'm like 15, I'm like, what do you mean? He said I sound pretty, but he doesn't believe me, like, whatever. But the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, so he wants to like feel what I'm saying. And I didn't know how to do that. And he suggested like take acting classes, get in touch with your emotional palette. And I was like, okay, like, sure.
Yeah.
So I took some acting classes, and the first acting class I took, the coach had me in tears, like bawling. And he was like, well, where is this in your music? And I was like, you're right, like I need to get it together and like
another side
engage
of yourself
it. Yeah,
that you
like
had it tapped into.
Yeah, I was like hiding for some reason, and I was trying to make myself seem perfect, and like it was sounding perfect, but that doesn't translate, you know?
Yeah.
So they really go hand in hand. I don't think I would be where I'm at in songwriting and in like as a performer without acting, and I don't think I would be an actress if it wasn't for music. So I don't think I could choose just one.
They really go hand in hand.
They really do. And like when I do music videos, that's like all acting, you know?
Yeah.
When I'm on stage, I'm putting on a persona to an extent where I'm like, I have to entertain these people. And me, Mandi, as a person, I'm not entertaining enough to just watch like for an hour. Like I just put people to snooze. But when I put on like Mandi, you know, then like, yeah, I can entertain people. But it's just really, they're like two peas in a pod. You can't separate the twins.
Yeah. Well, luckily you're good at both. So there you go. You don't have to choose between any. So what can we expect from you in 2023? Any upcoming sort of, you know, the second half of 2023? Anything we can look forward to?
Well, definitely the EP. It's gonna be released in March, and like biting my fingernails, I cannot wait to release that. Hopefully just a lot more performances. I'm gonna be performing at the Viper in February. So just,
awesome.
I wanna get out there, I wanna meet people, I wanna hug my fans, I wanna definitely sing this EP like live, because you know, it's not released yet, so I haven't got the honor of doing that yet, but I know that this is gonna be like a really fun journey, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it. Mandi Macias, thank you for stopping by. StreamLive once again. I'm Terzel Ron, and that is a wrap. See you in the next one.